FM News Talk 97.1.
On-demand audio.
It's our show before Memorial Day weekend, and so I do hope that while everyone is out enjoying the gorgeous weather and relaxing with friends and family, that you also remember why we have this weekend that we have. We're honoring the service and sacrifice of those men and women who so bravely served our country and fought for our freedoms. So please make sure that that's at the forefront of all that you do this weekend. If you go and visit, like if you're in the state of Missouri, if you're in St. Louis, go and check out Jefferson Barracks and, maybe pay some respects, lay some flowers down. And just keep in mind that the reason we have the freedoms that we have and that this country is so unbelievably amazing is because people fought to make it that way. What is it? What is the story that people can sleep soundly because you have rough men ready to do violence on their behalf at night or something to that effect? So just remember that. 866-455-9797. There's a fantastic new book out. It's called Al-Qaeda's Attack on the USS Cole. It's front burner, and this book is by USS Cole Commander Kirk Lippold. And this, I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but it's getting amazing reviews. And this goes into everything that happened during this time. And, of course, we have Commander Lippold on the phone with us right now. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Dana. Thank you for having me on your show.
Of course, it's good to speak with you. This, this book, from everything that I know about this book. What I want to ask you, what prompted you to write this? First and foremost.
Well, the crew and I, over the years, had been approached by several people wanting to write, and finally it became apparent no one was going to take on the project. And I finally reached a point in my life where I was ready to relive that experience, as was my crew. And I sat down at a keyboard after 9 years and started reliving that experience onto paper. Took about a year to write. But what was really neat about it, Dana, was that my crew during that time, knowing that I was capturing that story for the sake of the American people and our nation's history, were also willing to relive that horrific event and experience and share with me some of the most inner thoughts that allowed me to truly capture an amazing moment in our naval history.
Now, many people have said, because we've had embassy bombings and things like that before, but where it concerns Al-Qaeda, though, many say that this was really Al-Qaeda's first attack against the United States with the USS Cole. Is that accurate to say?
Absolutely. Before 9/11, there was 10/12. When you attack buildings like World Trade Center 1 or embassies, like we had in Africa, those are things that house and represent U.S. interests. When you attack a warship, you are trying to eliminate a nation's ability to protect its citizens and its interests around the world. It's an act of war. And you had one administration with the Clinton that literally wrapped up the investigation in a rush to get out of office and handed it over the day before the Bush administration took office. But then, unfortunately, the Bush administration took office and said, well, if it was important, they would have started something. They didn't. We're going to look forward to the future and not back. Consequently, nothing was done. There was a clear disconnect in national security policy because of politics. And 11 months later, our nation paid a tragic price that we are still living with today.
Very much so. This definitely was a huge red flag that I agree with you on this. We needed to move and make sure that, because if they're going to do this, you knew that they had other things also on the horizon. One of the things about this book, though, is reading about the attack of the USS Cole in the papers, obviously very different from reading a narrative, a first-hand account, your account of it actually happening, being on the ship as it happened, and you include a lot of details. And the thing that I thought was really the most interesting in reading, and again, as I said, I plan to dive into this book this weekend, and I'm really excited to read it. But that when you first felt the ship, you felt it kind of, thrust to, the left or right, and you knew in just a few moments that it was attacked. What was going through your mind at that? And I don't want you to give away the book, but what was going through your mind at that specific moment? You felt a violent thrust, and what did you think, that you were having a Titanic moment? I mean, what were your thoughts at that time?
As I was sitting at my desk doing routine paperwork, and there was that thunderous explosion, and the ship violently thrust up and to the right, It seemed to hang in the air, came back down, and all the lights went out. Darkness throughout the ship. No alarms would go off because of design flaws. No announcements would go off because of design flaws. It was complete silence. Because of the direction we'd been shoved, initially I knew right off that we had been attacked. And I went back into my cabin in the dark, opened up the safe where I kept the keys to the torpedoes, the missiles, and the gun systems, and I pulled out a 9mm. I loaded it, chambered around, decocked it, put 2 clips of ammunition in my pocket, and went outside. I didn't know if we were going to be boarded. I didn't know if there was going to be a follow-on attack. 2 things in my life mattered in that moment: defend my ship, defend my crew. I took a deep breath, not knowing if I was going to face my destiny, and I went out to the port side just thinking, whatever you do not leave an empty round in the chamber.
That's one of the most amazing things I've ever heard. I have to tell you that. We're all here in the studio. Just the subject gives us chills, and your description of it, your firsthand account, as well. In the hours, the days, and the weeks following this, there was a lot of criticism for how the government, and you got into it a little bit. It seemed as though a lot of folks say that this was swept under the rug, that what happened with the USS Cole wasn't perpetuated in the media because it showed a critical error in national security. And you touch in that a little bit in your book. Give us some insight from your perspective on that particular topic.
Well, it was very clear there was not going to be any reaction to the USS Cole. The Navy obviously was professionally embarrassed by the incident happening. The intelligence community wanted to ignore it because they realized that we were essentially blind in that port. Our embassy had closed down prior to us pulling into port because of terrorist threat. And yet no one had the forethought to say, gee, if the terrorist threat's so bad to shut down an embassy, perhaps we ought not to let a ship pull in and get refueled. We were under peacetime rules of engagement at the time. We pulled in that morning for what we thought was going to be a routine stop. We had no idea that Al-Qaeda had been active in that port for up to 18 months, observing Navy ships pull in, moored to piers, watch boats come out to them, how the boats came out, where they came alongside. So that morning when we contracted for 3 garbage barges as part of normal routine operations in a port to come out and take off trash, 2 came out to the ship. The crew loaded them up with trash. 2 boats left. Suddenly this 3rd boat comes out. Naturally, everyone says it looks like a garbage barge. It followed the same path as the previous boats. It came down the side of the ship with 2 guys in it, stood up and waved, came to the exact same spot in the middle of the ship where the other boat had been getting trash, when 2 guys initiated a detonation in a suicide waterborne IED attack that would blow a 40 by 40 foot hole in the side of the ship, killing 17 and wounding 37.
Your book, had you not written this book, these details, this story that is so supremely important to our nation's history in this war on terror and with Al-Qaeda, I think it would have been lost, Commander. I really think that had you not written this book, Front Burner, Al-Qaeda's attack on the USS Cole, this was the first terrorist attack on the United States. I mean, this, you could say that this, for all intents and purposes, happened on our soil. It would be lost. And obviously you felt that way as well in taking on this project.
I absolutely did. And I look today in the war that we're fighting, and when I talk to my sources, both in the Pentagon and at other government agencies, they will tell you that they are still very concerned about how active Al-Qaeda is, how they are continuing to target us. I worry about the fact that we are seeing some of the leaks of information that we are today. While it's important that the American people know we got Osama bin Laden, the details of how we did that being leaked to Hollywood for the sake of an election year movie, the details of how we capture what may be another attempt to put a bomb on an aircraft, those are details that we shouldn't be leaking. And the continued over-reliance on a drone program that kills high-level people rather than does the morally courageous thing of capturing them so we can learn how Al-Qaeda recruits, trains, equips, finances, and conducts operations, I think is setting us up for danger in the future, because many people are beginning to express reservations. And as I mentioned, all my sources, all the alarm bells are going off, saying it may appear successful now, but our future looks grave if we continue down this path of exploiting a drone program instead of doing the morally courageous thing and capturing them and using intelligence facilities like Guantanamo Bay to keep our nation safe. Yes.
Last quick question for you, Commander. The president recently said that the war on terror is over. Do you agree?
Well, you know, what a fantastic thing. We just saved the American taxpayers tens, if not hundreds of billions of dollars. We're going to close TSA. We're going to bring the troops home and celebrate. That is such a naive statement to have been made by someone at State Department. It is beyond the pale, and the fact that the White House did not even respond to that tells you that we have a disconnect at the highest levels of our government in the dangers being posed to our nation and its citizens.
Absolutely. Well, Commander Kirk Lippold, this book is amazing. Front Burner, Al-Qaeda's Attack on the USS Cole. And I know I speak for everyone here and everyone listening. We so honor your service and your sacrifice to our country. You are the epitome of an American hero, and I feel very privileged to have you on my program this Memorial Day weekend. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Dana, and thank you to all your listeners, because while we may go out there and defend freedom, we can't do it without the support of people back here at home who hope and pray for our safe return.
Absolutely, and we will continue to do so. Thank you so much, sir. We'll talk
Thank you,
again
and
soon.
happy Memorial Day weekend.
Yes, happy Memorial Day weekend to you. That is Commander Kirk Lippold, his book, Front Burner, Al-Qaeda's Attack on the USS Cole. I'm telling you guys, you need to check this book out. I have chills right now just from hearing his description of everything that happened.